I'm going to show an initial version of the GameUI in action. The first thing when you open the UI, the GUI the first time, is it prompts you for the server configuration. We made this much easier than in the regular plastic SCM version. It just asks for the server, then the way of the authentication way, then the repository, and then you can select your workspace. That's very simple, something an artist will only have to do once, and just following very simple steps. We try to make the whole thing much simpler. Then the switcher shows up with a list of workspaces, only one at a time. You can rename, create more, and then you get the GameUI. The first thing you can do is to go to the configure. Then you can browse the repository. Even though you don't have any contents on disk right now, you can just browse what's on the server, on the main branch. At this point, you can even preview the files and just choose what you want to download. For my example, I'm using some comics, some comics for some Iron Man comics, and I'm going just to download one of them and make some modifications. So I just selected the content I wanted to download. It's just a tree inside the entire repository, full tree, and okay, I can just browse the different files and so on. The key thing here that makes the GameUI different from the regular plastic is that you can just download the parts you are interested on, and you only get this part on your workspace. You can do that with Clockhead and this kind of stuff in plastic, but this way is much simpler. What I did now was just check out the file, and I'm going to make a small edit. I'm just going to add something like Plastic SCM Edition, just to, a dummy change to actually track it later. So the key thing with the GameUI is that working on soft trace is extremely simple. It's built around two key concepts. One is, as an artist, I don't want to download the entire tree because it might be very big for a game development, and I'm not interested in doing that. And the second thing is, I don't ever want to merge. I just want to work on the main branch and just check in, and I'm done. So any other changes that might be, if they don't really conflict with the ones I'm doing, I don't want to see them. That's something that breaks a little bit of the barriers in the distributed version control, because it's not the way to work in regular DVCS. I'm going to do another change now, which is, remember, I was working on number 12, actually in the cover of number 12, and now, in parallel, what I'm going to do is reorganize the folders, right? So I'm going to create, I'll basically split the numbers I have in two groups, 0 to 10 and then 11 to 20, and I'll be just moving the different comics to these two groups. So the key thing I'm showing is, okay, the artist doesn't have these changes on his workspace. Under regular conditions, he will have to download the latest changes, the new directory structure, before checking in, before committing his change, which is something he normally doesn't want to do. He just wants to go and check in. He doesn't really care of some of the latest changes if they don't really collide with theirs, and they won't, because he's always working in a locked way, right? Always in exclusive checkout. So this is the last checking I did with the reorganization. This checking is not on the GameUI, but as you are going to see now, I'm going to be able to check in the changes. And that's, as I was saying, the key in the GameUI. So now I can just type my command. So like I modify the cover of number 12 or something like that. And then I'll be able to check in. If I were using a regular version, I wouldn't be able to do that, because Plastic will say, hey, you need to update the latest changes. As you can see now, my change has been checked in, and it's actually checked in on the head of the branch in the new location under the new 20 to 12 group, because it's number 12, right? So I just update to the latest version on the other Plastic, on the regular Plastic. My change is there. You can see on the preview how the change is there. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to diff with previous. There's the image diff is not yet available on the GameUI, but it is going to be there pretty soon, because this functionality is obviously useful for artists. And as you can see here, well, just showing the swipe, I'll just adjust a little bit size of the image. Just zoom it out a little bit. Okay, here we go. So, and now if I swipe, you see the changes there. So the artist actually checked in the file to a different location from what he was seeing. But that's basically the point with the GameUI, that the artist can focus on his changes. Now I'll just go and reconfigure my workspace. I'm not interested anymore in number 12, and I want to download 2 other comics to work on them. When I say comics, it can be any other kind of material, right? Normally, game content for the game development teams. So I just click and select 2 other different trees, and I can even select file per file if I want. I click on apply, I get the changes, my workspace gets updated, and I only get the new files. This is one of the key operations in the GameUI, and one of the ways to enable the new working method. So, well, this is basically the alternative designs. You have seen the initial one, a very initial one, but these are the other alternatives we are working on. One is Metro based. This other one is like more orange, more like ribbon based or something, more Windows like probably. We try to get a balance between Windows 8 and the previous version. This is like another variant with a logo in a different position. Now this is like a more Windows like, and then another variant. And as you can see, we're working at full speed on that, since it's going to be one of the big new features in Plastic for games.